Welcome to Mind Your Wedding Business podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Dennis. In addition to leading the charge at Wedding IQ, I also run Fantasy Sound Event Services, a lighting and entertainment company based in Livermore, California, that I founded over 35 years ago. Each week on this podcast, you'll hear thought-provoking and empowering interviews with wedding professionals who have found success in the industry. If you're a business-minded wedding pro who loves love, but also cares about their bottom line, buckle up and get ready to learn from a new industry expert each week. All right, folks, welcome to the very first episode of 2025 to Mind Your Wedding Business. Happy New Year, Miss.
Happy New Year to you.
This is amazing.
So
this is, you can see, we're not in our normal setup. We're live in studio with the one and only Meghan Ely. This is amazing.
We're exciting.
I know. She was our first guest on the podcast and now our first guest live in studio. So thank you. It's such an honor.
Just keep raising the...
I know. What are we going to do next?
Underwater.
Okay.
The first underwater podcast. Yeah.
Let's do it.
That's next.
How long can you hold your breath?
Like 5 seconds.
Okay. Well, that works. All right. So, Meghan.
Yes.
In case you've been living under a rock, can you tell us a little bit about Meghan Ely and who you are?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I'm Meghan Ely. I am a wedding publicist. I'm the owner of OFD Consulting. And so what we do is for the last, 15 plus years now, we have been in the wedding industry representing all sorts of wonderful people, but we're also trend watchers. I mean, we have to be based on what we do, pitching, featured, all of that. I'd also like to take a moment to quash any rumors that I am not related to you.
She's my sister, let's be real.
He introduces me a lot and that comes up. So I felt like in the first question, we should just go ahead and make sure everyone's clarified on that. So
not blood related, but
or any kind of related.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. So Meghan, we're here today to talk about trends. You're fresh, you and Terica. We couldn't get Terica, so we had to get the second best.
We did. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm Junior Varsity Terica, also known as.
So we got, you and Terica are fresh off the Wedding MBA stage, talking about trends for next year. So before we dive in, can you educate us? What is a trend?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that because I do like to get academic when it comes to what an actual trend is. And you ask 100 people, you get 100 different answers. But what I tell people at the end of the day is, the trend is the direction we're all moving together. Essentially, that's the direction we're going. Someone once said, I really love this. It was something, it's like the next tune you're about to hum. That's what it is. I love that. And so that's essentially, it's the direction we're all going together collectively.
Well, all right. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's the journey.
There
you go. All right. So what's the difference between a trend, a fad, and a shift?
It's all about what had legs. That's what it is. And, a fad is the sense of the longevity. There's no longevity with a fad. And one of the examples I love to use, and I've used in years past is, that awful, hopefully you've never been a part of this, that awful photo in this where we had these couples and it was like a group shot, but then they had like a dinosaur superimposed or Godzilla behind them, like chasing them. That's gratefully a fad. That's short. That was a half a season. It came in, it came out. You don't expect it to have legs. A trend, 1 to 2 years. And it depends on the region. I mean, right now, 2025, we're here in California. Things go a little bit faster than Richmond, Virginia, which is where I flew in from, So it's usually 1 to 2 years. But then a shift it's when we're collectively going in that direction together, but we just keep going in that direction. Those are things that we're not going back on. That's going to be like the commitment to sustainability and inclusivity. The wedding industry is changed forever because of it. People are not changed because of some of the trends we're seeing right now, but the ones that have legs, that's really going to be when it goes to distance, that's a shift.
Perfect. All right. Who decides the trends? Do you decide the trends? Does Terica decide the trends?
Yes. Let the record show. Well, no, I had this thing happen a few years ago, and this is always, because the answer is, let me say, is anybody can decide the trends. That's the actual answer. And I realized that a bunch of years ago, I was in Ireland and I was doing this all day talk on trends. And I went and I researched it. Because a lot of times when it comes to trends, it would be looking at the media and seeing what influencers and celebrities are doing. So I went on stage and presented all of it. And there were people in the audience who, they were, at the time at least, the largest wedding media outlet in Ireland. So they're actively taking notes about what I'm saying. At the time I was trashing mason jars, which is an ongoing theme in my life.
Yeah, I have it over
And
there.
it was closer to the rustic time period. So then within the week, they had published for all of Ireland and all these couples, all the trends. And it was my stuff, which is amazing and flattering. But I'm like, oh, am I the voice of like wedding trends in Ireland suddenly?
You were?
I was for a brief period all those years ago. So at the end of the day, anyone can say what the trends are, but we find that it tends to be the media. It's going to be through different observations of what influencers do. And sometimes it's a gut. Like I'll give you my gut answer later with what we're seeing, but that's what we're looking at.
So that was your Ireland era?
Yeah, my Ireland era. Yeah, for like 5 seconds, all the mason jar purchases went down considerably in Ireland in about 2010, thanks to me.
They were looking for you.
Yeah.
All right. So what kind of themes you're seeing in trends?
Well, it's hard because every year people want to ask, well, what's the themes, right? And I think the last couple of years, 2023 and 2024, it was nostalgia and comfort, right? And it's kind of, it's things that will comfort you. And so you're seeing so much in the way of like throwbacks to 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. I mean, even 90s, which I'm like, that is not retro, but in my heart.
It's not retro, but it's there.
No, it's retro for young people. It's just in my heart. It's not retro. And so a lot of people were kind of looking back on that, right? And that was really that kind of defining time period. This year, what I'm seeing is ordered chaos. It's like everything. And it's more than just maximalism. It's like we're looking at things thinking, oh, I never thought to put those things together. It's like this burst of creativity in a way. I mean, there are things I have never seen before. Because how they say trends come back. Ombre, I've seen it. Rustic, seen it. I'm looking at all this stuff going, I've never seen it take it in this direction before. So it's a little chaotic, but in this really creative and wonderful way.
So when will the poofy wedding dresses of the 80s come back?
Any day now. No, I don't know. Well, the cakes last year were very 80s. And I was just like any second away from the sleeves and the fountains. I was really hoping for a comeback on those, the fountains and the cakes from the 80s.
I do remember
when I was a kid. I mean, you were in your like early 40s at the time. I was like a
40s,
child.
And for the record, she is older than me. So.
Not at all. But anyways, so it's really fitted, but I don't know when those are coming back to it. It's all Edwardian and drop waist right now. So we're very far away from big puffy sleeves right now. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah. Well, that's what I remember.
I'll let the record
when I was
show.
A young child in the 80s. So, all right, let's dive into the trends.
Okay.
For, it's 2025. Happy New Year again, everyone. So what are we going to be seeing this year, 2025?
So many things.
Okay.
Color. When I say color, I know a lot of years we come here and we're like, it's going to be color. Well, what kind of? No, these are colors I've just never seen put together. Like bright, bold, moody. These colors and not afraid. Well, that's one of them.
Okay.
So you're getting ahead of yourself.
Sorry.
But no, if we're looking at overall theme, it's so much color and it's in abundance and people aren't just picking 2 colors for their wedding. It is like color central and I love it. And things that I just hadn't seen paired before. But to your point, it's going to be this upscale neon. I mean, neon is in a way that I've never seen in 15 years of watching the trend. So I love seeing that. People have had a lot of fun, fashion, all those things. We're seeing different prints really mixing together. It used to be, let's mix some different colors. Now it's like these prints. It's unbelievable. We're seeing all sorts of things where it's the tablescapes, especially with that. Wild florals. I mean, the florals are fascinating to me because it was Meghan Markle. Let's talk about royals for a second. It was this in abundance, right? The flowers were having this renaissance. Remember, you were not watching this Prince Harry. They get married. They have this big arch, right? All these flowers. Everybody went for that arch for years. And you're like, I've got this arch. You're like, amazing. I've seen it 50 times, but I'm happy for you and your arch. And so you had these couples who had these flowers in abundance, but they were still like they had a form and shape to it, right? And then it kind of got brought down the last few years. Last few years, it was quite luxury. So it was fewer flowers, but flowers that would pay off my student loans. You know what I mean?
Like more neutral.
But it was just like, oh, these are gorgeous. And like, I know they're super bougie, but like other people at quiet luxury. So now abundance is back in full force, but they don't take shape. You're just seeing it's just kind of wild and all over the place with it. And I love seeing that. My favorite, caterpillar seating.
Okay. Tell me about
You're
this,
like, tell me more.
Yeah.
I drew a picture earlier so caterpillar seating, you take the rounds. And I think when you and I were talking, was it the 72 or the 60 inch? What did you think of that?
We were trying to figure it out, but it probably would be better space-wise if you did it with 60.
Okay. So you've got the rounds.
I am not a rental person.
Yeah. So rounds of 60 to 72 inches. And so what they do, instead of spreading them out or worrying about people getting in between, they're shaped like a caterpillar, which from my catering background, I look at them like you can fit like 3 people at a table, 4 people. But what I love about this look to it, where they're all touching each other and make a couple of different things. One is I've seen people do it where it's literally, I'll have one of each linen. Like what? Like one of every linen you have. And that's the mixing of patterns and colors.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, there are more and more people who are doing these smaller weddings. Like yes, are people having big bashes after COVID? They are, but it's a lot more okay to have smaller ones, but you still have these big spaces that people are renting. This fills the room.
Yeah. I was just thinking the same thing. And more, if you had more of a rectangle space, you can, like really go.
You have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, you can really have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Umbrellas, but like in a way I haven't seen before. Really beautiful umbrellas, right? Because over the years, people, they'll latch onto something. And so years past, it was, I'm aging myself, but it's like the champagne wall. And there was a million versions of it, right? So now it's like, well, let's take umbrellas and just go really posh, really different with them. It's a lot of umbrellas, great for outdoors, right?
Yeah.
Great for the sun, things like that. So I love seeing that.
Are we also umbrellas that we carry as well?
It'd be amazing. But if the bridesmaids aren't already carrying, or I should say the wedding party, carrying baskets of flowers, because that is something that we're seeing more. We're seeing a ton of different wedding party members carrying baskets of flowers. So if they don't, I get basket in one hand.
Where's the basket coming?
That's just what they're doing.
Hide their champagne in there.
When I was a bridesmaid, I had no vision for a long time. And I was a little kid and I took my glasses and I hid them inside my bouquet so I could I was a little kid, walk down the aisle without glasses, and I almost fell over. So yeah, I would have loved a basket. Like before my LASIK, pre-LASIK, I would have loved that. So we are seeing more of that. With bands, we're seeing big backdrops behind them that are just really, just
elaborate.
Very elaborate when it comes to that.
Are they bold or like in color?
Metallics, things like that. You've got to be careful from a logical standpoint when it comes to food and beverage.
Okay.
Also with drinks, what's is very interesting is, yes, we've got people who have very customized bar. You and I know signature cocktails are we've seen them forever. I have seen them forever now, 20 years I've been in business, but we're seeing more specialized bars. That's like, these are only going to be this kind, the mint juleps or the martini or whatever it's going to be. So that's always nice. But what we're also seeing is, and I think TikTok has a lot to do with this, if I may say, when it comes to this, is we're seeing that maybe some people have a dry wedding and that's a personal choice, but there's more of a commitment to the non-drinkers in the room, which I appreciate, whether someone's sober curious. And it's not just sodas and fruit juices. Like, I've seen people on TikTok say, hey, I'm not a child. I don't just want to be offered apple juice. And so we are seeing custom,
sparkling
science. Exactly. Just for you. It's like, it's feel more grown up. So with that, people are bringing in mixologists, which I love, and it can be for cocktails or mocktails. So, it's something for everybody, which I love. And it's more inclusive to all the people with their preferences and so on and so forth. So I'm big on that. So really happy to see that. In addition, what we're seeing is, and I want to talk about video and photography for a second. What we're seeing is, again, a little chaotic, but it's kind of fun. So for Save the Dates, couples are actually doing Save the Date videos. And it's been very fun. Like, it's very tongue-in-cheek, very casual, sunglasses. It doesn't make as much sense on, let's say, so shoot, but they're very short form, like, ready. We're ready for Instagram. They're ready for TikTok. They're maybe not necessarily sending out a Save the Date, which is kind of complicated because what if you see it and then you're not invited? That would be, that's true. Not my problem though. That's their problem.
Oh, that's going to be a trend that they're going to have to.
Yeah. What are you going to do with that? Yeah. Well, I saw the video. Oh, that's not what it is, what it is. Right. But people are having a lot of fun.
And are you seeing them like they're expressing their personality?
Yes. Okay. It's all about personality. Years and years. It's all about, it's the keeping up and making it personal. And now it's like, I want you guys to leave here knowing us better as a couple, even if you already felt you knew us and really going to get to know us, which I love. Now, we talked about my gut reaction on stuff. Can I give you my gut reaction for this share? Okay. And let me be the first to say, I'm always right.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
It's the first of the year.
I can say whatever I want. Okay. No.
You started all the trends in Ireland, so let's go.
Yeah, I know. I am an Ireland trendsetter from 2010, 2011. No, what happens is sometimes we see things and it's just like, that's interesting. And that kind of fits with what we've seen in years past. And I'm not sitting here saying it's going to go viral, but it's very interesting. So you know how I mentioned nostalgia, right? And people doing nostalgic throwback, whether it was like summer camps or the 90s or whatever they want that kind of brings comfort to them. Okay, bear with me.
I'm ready.
Hong Kong style wedding photography.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. Let me share. So from my understanding, in Hong Kong, in the 80s in particular, couples would do this photography where they would wear, they're full outfits. They look gorgeous. Well, the big sleeves, right? They look gorgeous in their like 80s way. And so what they would do is they would go out and, okay, we've done our photos. Now you're going to take us out to like, I don't know, insert restaurant, fast food restaurant here, right? And they take photos of them like eating French fries. Like it was just very casual and tongue in cheek. And like, what are they doing out in the wild? In their outfits,
not in the ballroom,
grocery shopping. Like, where's the like, what is happening? Where's your first dance? And so, what we're seeing is more couples out of Hong Kong are recreating it, and it's not just the style; it's the clothes, it's the photography. You would look at a photo from today and think it's from the 80s. You would have no idea. And so, I love seeing that. It kind of goes with the tongue in cheek, save the date, and it goes with the nostalgia and all of that stuff. And now there are actual photographers in Hong Kong who specialize in this. And I thought, if there is something that, especially because we're kind of talking about trends, we want to think it's global, but really trends in America here, that's something I could see couples latching onto. Get a couple of like well-known people to do it. And then it's kind of like that direct flash we saw for a bunch of years.
Well, the world's smaller now with social media.
Yeah, it really is.
See it. I think things are going to travel faster than they used to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it goes faster and faster. I think a lot of regions aren't as limited. Like even in Richmond, Virginia, people would think, well, we're behind on the trends. We're not behind. It used to be, when I first started 20 years ago, it was 10 years. That's how long it could take, 5 to 10 years. Because all you had these great like print publications. Shout out to The Knot. Back in the day, that was the magazine that we had, or Brides or Bridal Guide. But now we have a little bit more of a connection to people and can be a lot sooner.
Yeah, things go. It's not cycle. And we're not on a publishing cycle anymore. Yeah,
absolutely.
No, amazing. All right. All right. So what about guest experience? Like, because I feel like the weddings have been all about, you want your guests leaving, that was the best wedding ever, kind of thing. So what can you, like, any trends that are, specific to guests?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, I would say when we're talking about trends and shifts, I will say as a shift as a whole, the focus on the guest experience, like that has not changed. Every year, it's kind of like, well, where are we darting to and focusing on it? Because I think people fully recognize it is a commitment, especially destination, especially if you got kids, like to actually get there. And so we're not going anywhere when it comes to that commitment to guest experience, which I love. So let me just say that. So when it comes to what we're seeing this year, again, it's like, what are we focusing on? So it's the check-in area. Believe it or not, like when you check in for the actual, so you've done the ceremony, everyone cry, blah, blah, blah. Going to the reception.
Cry, blah, blah.
Cry, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. Insert tears here. And then what happens is they go and they have to get their seating. Because a lot of people are still doing like, this is your table, blah, blah. Yeah. So it's fun to see what people are doing from a creativity standpoint. So you walk in and there are actually like a concierge service. And you're walking in, it's like because before it used to be, you find the person with the
the clipboard.
It's the clipboard and to go to, but now it's like full table set, like actual built-ins of like, this is people sitting behind doing that.
It feels like you're almost checking into a hotel.
Yes. I've seen one where it looks like a barista and you walk up and you've got to pick your coffee cup with like the table number, which is
I've seen them with wine bottles.
Wine bottles make sense of the time of the location here. Yeah. I've seen it more recently with some of our weddings where, it's like a cinema and you're going in and you're like, you're in a movie and they give you a ticket with your name on it. Yeah. So like, that's really good. One that I saw too more recently, and it was very involved, but it goes with another detail I want to talk about that we're seeing a trend, handmade details, which we'll get into in a second. But they walk up and they have all these mini, like handmade, like glazed little pots for flowers, little vases. So I love that. It's that you're walking in and having that. And that brings me to, if I may extend over to handmade details. So we've seen a lot of handmade details over the years, with the rise in popularity of Etsy. It doesn't necessarily mean that you learned to crochet and you crocheted your, like, I don't know.
I learned to crochet. My grandmother taught me.
Okay.
I could do it. I would have to relearn it, but
yeah, okay. Well, outside of you,
but I
most of us don't
used to
learn
do
how
it
to
all
do
the time, man. When I was a
Shout
kid.
out to your grandmother for
Grandma
teaching
Emily.
you that. And so, but what we're seeing is more and more people incorporating that. And I saw, we did a Brights feature. It was really great. It was with this Olympian. It was really cool. And his wife. And they had so many different embroidered things. And what was cool was the handmade details were all over from loved ones. And I'm going to paraphrase because I'm not going to get this quote right, but it was something like she loved walking into the room and seeing all these things handmade with love from those people, friends and family. And I love it. I just think it's so
made it special for them. Yeah.
Special for them. And I just think that's really wonderful. And this isn't as much guest experience, but stationary invitation, that's the first foray into the actual weddings, the introduction, it sets the tone. And we're so lucky. Christy Rice. So we work with Momental Design. They're amazing. And I went to them. I'm like, give it to me straight. What are you seeing for 2025? And there's some really cool things that they're seeing. I mean, just beautiful details, embellishments, delicate ribbons, things like that. In addition, though, what I thought was pretty neat was we're seeing more couples who, because she does hand painting. Well, their team, they hand paint. And so it's having the couple superimposed on just little beautiful painted details of the couple. There was one they showed me where they were in Italy and you put the little couple and it is very elegant when you see it, and the couple's painted on in a little boat. It's just wonderful. So we're seeing a lot of that too.
Wow, that actually sounds.
Yeah, it was very lovely, very personalized.
Yeah. All right. So now, as we move into 2025, what kind of fashion are we seeing with trend?
It's fun. The fashion is fun.
Fashion is always fun.
Well, it can be. It's interesting. So everyone's doing something a little bit different. For anyone in a gown, we're seeing Edwardian style, which is nice. It's a bit of a departure away from the Bridgerton. It's really great. I love seeing that. Drop waists are really huge, so that's kind of fun to see as well. So I really do like those things. So for the wedding party, we're seeing matching at a new level. I'm just still trying to decide with this one, but yes, well, I like when people mix it up personally, but yes, we see all the same dresses, but now it's everyone has matching ribbon in their hair. I mean, for better or for worse, I'm just here to report it. We are seeing matching at kind of the ultra level, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we're seeing that too. The coolest thing I'm seeing are embellished suits. So anyone who wants to wear a suit, right? And I showed you some pictures of what that looks like. Embellished, embroidered, lots of embroidery. And so there's these amazing companies out there where you can order a suit. And in the years past, as you know, people have done cool liners or on their cuffs. Now, this is full on embroidery of their interest. I mean, we saw one, it was mushrooms and people's pets on the back and things like that. And it's just one of the coolest things I've seen. So the fashion is absolutely bold this year. And frankly, I'm here for it. I love seeing that.
Now, you said the matchy, but we're also having lots of color. So how are they doing the matchy with lots of color?
It's one or the other a lot of the time. You know what I mean? Because you have some people with the color and it's everyone has different dresses and they coordinate really. But when I say the matchy, I mean, everyone's got a toile outfit and then matching ribbons in their hair. So you're gonna do one or the other probably. I would say the matching is the least chaotic of the trends this year.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you want to go real buttoned up, then you're going to go ahead and have everyone just match within an inch of their lives.
Yeah, I can see that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So what's the most wild trend that you're seeing way out there?
We see a lot of things throughout the year. So my team and I will, and really it's my team, they go through, they see tens of thousands of photos. And so they'll pick things up right away, which is great. There was one they showed me and I'm like, what is this? So we're seeing more. Let me start with the normal part of it.
Okay.
Vegetation, fruit with pearls in it, which is kind of pearls were big last year. So people are inserting pearls in, and I see vegetation. I showed you offline, this, it was tomatoes. It was just very cool. So all of that is cool. And but then there was you know what a croquembouche is? It's that French style for the uninitiated. It's that French style cake, but it was Brussels sprouts.
Yeah.
And it was featured in the Anti-Bride. And I was like, that is the wildest thing I've seen this year. I love it because when you think it's we'll put citrus. I mean, I'm sure you've seen produce on the table, right? Citrus,
a lot
apples.
of produce. But can I tell you what's hilarious about that is you'll reach over and you'll see someone eating the decorations.
Well, that's after a few.
No, they're just sitting there at the table and they're waiting for their food to come and they'll grab it.
Apple.
Yeah,
and you're like, that was probably sprayed with something. So I don't think anyone's going to be noshing on.
No, Rob.
Oh, yeah. Rob Brussels sprouts, sign me up. Best wedding ever, right? No, not
I was like, ugh.
No. I love Brussels. But anyways, but that's what I've seen. So will that come to life? I don't know. But of all the things that my team showed me this year, I was like, okay, that is the wildest of the bunch, literally.
So it seems like our couples for 2025 are going to really be pushing the envelope.
Yes, that's a great way to put it.
Okay.
Pushing the envelope. They are saying it's in, you look at it and you're like, that's wild. You're like, oh, but that does kind of come together and make sense. Like once you take a moment and pause, you're like, oh, the caterpillar tables, we probably should have done that like 10 years ago. You know, we weren't doing that because we had so many like farm tables. So there was no room in our life for round tables back then.
And don't forget the mason jars.
Oh, and the mason jars,
And burlap.
Favorite.
You forgot the burlap.
That burlap. I don't know. We were talking about this. It was like, wait, because trends do come back, right?
Yeah.
And
I said, I'm saying,
the things we're seeing back. Well, one of the things that we see coming back right now are paper flowers. And we were talking about this, and I said, paper flowers are interesting because I've been around the last time. Like, if you look at paper flowers.
She's older.
Yeah.
So you've been around.
13 to 15 years ago, we saw a lot of paper flowers. But now the technology has improved, the materials. So it's very fun to see how it's evolved over the years. So who knows? Maybe the mason jar will be it will blow my mind the next time it's
I highly doubt it.
No, I don't think it will.
You're very anti-mason jar. And don't forget the Lego flowers. That's the other thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, that would be lovely. And especially if the couple like made all of it. Like, that's really special. I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
I really like it too. So any trends that we missed? Anything that you're thinking of?
I think we've covered. Once you get to the Brussels sprouts, I don't think you can go anywhere else.
Okay.
I think that's
fair.
That's a good one. That's a strong note to end on.
All right. There you go. All right. So what do all of us wedding pros do with all this information? Like, where do we go?
I don't want people.
It's New Year's.
New Year's. I got to think about
resolutions, and we're working out more than we ever have.
Gotta make it broken. But no, here's the thing. I don't want anyone to be overwhelmed by this. That's the first thing. Please, like, what's going to happen is, and I find that trends are just very divisive. Some people, they're so excited to hear this. Other people are like, I transcend the trends. I don't follow the trends. I am the runway.
Create them.
I am the runway. And it's like, okay, that's amazing, but we still have to understand the direction people are going. So what I tell people is this: listen, you don't have to love all this stuff. You could sit there and shake your angry fist saying, oh my gosh, I didn't want that to come back. Blah, blah, blah. It's fine. What I would say is this: I think we need to acknowledge them and stay on top of them and just recognize that these are things that might come up. If there's anything related to what it is that you do in particular, understand what they're asking for and understand what the blowback might be. It's like when we had food trucks are still pretty popular, but when that really hit the rush, I would hope that caterers were at least recognizing that, and we're prepared to have a conversation about them, right? Paper flowers are going to come up with florists. Are you prepared to have a conversation about that? So prepare yourself for whatever impacts you. From there, if you're someone who does styled shoots, which that's a whole other conversation, ask yourself, is there anything that we should consider embracing, so on and so forth. And then finally, content. That's a big thing too, is I hear a lot of people, because we are, right now, it's a off season for a lot of the US, right? I don't have any content. I went through all my photos. Well, okay, why don't you do a series on your blog about your favorite trends that you're seeing for the year? That's the thing, is how can you build that into your content and maybe fill in some gaps as well?
Okay. And then we have, all these trends, and, do we get overwhelmed with them, or?
No, I think you hand select the ones that you maybe like and you want to inspire. And I think the biggest takeaway is hand select the ones that are most impactful for what you do for lighting, for music entertainment, for catering, and just make sure you're aware of them and think, am I ready to have a conversation about them when the time comes?
All right. And what I'm a wedding vendor that has an idea that you think might start a trend. Like, do I do a style shoot, or what do we?
You can do a style shoot, bring it up to your couples. The best thing you can do is, and the best people out there with the big ideas is they bring them forth to the couples who can really benefit from them and turn it to a reality. Yeah.
And then I think the biggest thing of this is that, like, how long does it take you to put together all this, so, it was amazing. I know the answer to this. Yeah. I know the answer to this, but I think it's amazing to let people know, like, how long it takes.
So we do our talk every November, right? We go ahead and do that. Shout out Wedding MBA, Shannon Underwood. Thanks for the opportunity, and family. And so from there, what we'll do is, like, I get back in the office and my team will set up an Airtable that is the next year's trends. And so what we'll do is, throughout the year, we will go through and start pulling what we're catching. And it could just be a little bit of an observation, and maybe we revisit it. But then we really get heavy into it in the summer. So we're talking about 4 months of agonizing. We toss it all on there. We agonize. We source photos, which becomes complicated because you want to make sure you're crediting, you get everything with the right photos, you lay it out, you run through it, then you revisit it. And it just goes on and on until you really land on it and say, okay, this is it. And once you've got all these photos collected, that's when you take like 3 steps back and say, what's the theme here? You know what I mean? So it really, I mean, it's all year, but really it's about a 4-month process when we really, and it's many of us who put it together. And of course, shout out to Terica, who gets to review everything and say, yes, no, what outfit am I going to wear? Things like that.
Remember, she's the varsity quarterback.
Yeah, she is. She is. I am like the water girl with the PowerPoint.
There you go. So just, I'm newer as into the, pretend I'm newer. I'm old.
I was going to say, I have to really think about that.
Yeah, you have to really pretend. But I'm new. Where can I go to start looking for, information, trends? Like, where can I, throughout the year?
Sure.
Is there Instagrams, TikToks? Is there...
All of the above. I mean, to a degree. First of all, there are places that have trend reports. And so you can always look into those and see it, attending the conferences. I mean, I'll be honest, all the conferences will have some version of special events trends, wedding trends, media, following the major media outlets, as well as your favorite ones that are maybe niche and so on and so forth. There's some really great. And of course, let me just say too, anyone famous or of note getting married in the year, that's what they're watching the royals. I'm just going to say, I don't want to jinx anything.
Don't jinx it. Okay. You could say it.
There is someone who is very, 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 very famous, Time Person of the Year, who at some point may go into her engagement era. And
with a football...
Cutie patootie football player. I hear he plays some sort of sport.
Has a podcast.
Yeah, has a podcast. And I genuinely think that if that comes to fruition with him or somebody else, I do think all eyes will be on. If she decides to do a big... I think they're going to break
the wedding industry if they do that.
It will be no different than when Prince Harry and Meghan Markle... Let me tell you real quick. Thanksgiving, 2017-ish, I made the mistake of taking the 4-day weekend. It was the first time I ever did it. And I woke up 5 a.m. Monday to catch up on work. And it said, Prince Harry engaged. And I went, son of a nutcracker, which is, I did not. You could
say son of a bitch.
No, I did not say nutcracker.
Just
son of a nutcracker. And I knew it was going to be my life for 4 months. And it was. Yeah. And that's what's going to happen because it's going to go mainstream. And I kind of hope they elope if they decide to go in that direction. Because I just think I think it's going to be a circus. It would be very hard not to be a circus, but it would keep me very busy and in business. So I'm divided.
Yeah, it could quite possibly be the biggest wedding we've had in U.S. history. I mean, you got to think about going back.
I mean, nothing's bigger than Princess Diana's, but that was UK based.
Yeah, but think about America,
Yeah, but aren't we all?
I mean, of a modern.
No. I agree. Modern, that it's going to be the biggest. It would be the biggest U.S. wedding that we've seen in my lifetime, and then add significant number of decades and whatever.
In your lifetime?
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. So thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for flying me out.
Yeah. And
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for being my very first guest in studio. So thanks. Brand new shout out for that. And also we'll give August a little shout out. Thank you for being pushing the buttons behind the scenes, but also, all right. How do I get a hold of you?
OFDconsulting.com is always the best way. Instagram, you can find me at OFD Consulting. Don't find me at TikTok. I just watch cat videos. I'm of no substance over there.
So that's how I should be contacting you.
Yeah, you can find me over there.
Moving forward, I should be contacting you that way, not the...
No, just OFD Consulting is fine. Bat Signal.
Okay.
Whatever.
All right. Well, I usually ask everyone what their favorite part of a wedding is. So I think to end with, I'm going to ask you what your favorite trend you're seeing. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Put me on the spot. I had an answer for the other one. So, darn
well, okay, you give me that answer.
No,
give me that answer while you're thinking.
And I was going to make a joke because I no longer do weddings. I was like, well, I loved when they cut the cake because that meant I could which is probably why I'm not in weddings anymore. So I would say, no, I actually love the father-daughter dance if I wanted to be more I thought that was always very sweet. If there was one. And my favorite trend for the year, Lord. I mean, I just love those caterpillar tables. I think.
It's funny. I thought you were going to say that.
Well, here's the thing. To me, it's chaotic because I'm looking at that saying there's 3 people at a table.
Yeah.
I hate the idea of serving that table, but I was like, but not my problem, right? I just look at the pretty picture. So I love it. Go for it.
I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Drive me bananas, but
Well, and I think adding the color to it and being bold.
Yeah.
I think that'll be a fun.
Backup embroidered suits. I think those are fabulous. So.
Okay. I'll give us a bonus. I like that. Very nice.
Well, I can go all the way out here. So.
Yeah, you might as well. Make it worth our money. All right. Well, folks, thank you. Happy New Year, everyone. And thank you for sticking with us. And
Yay.
I hope you go out and set your own trends for 2025 as we go through it.
And tell me about them so I can put them in.
Yeah. OFD Consulting, let her know so you can be part of the 2025 Wedding MBA with JV quarterback Megan.
I have not been asked back yet, so let's not spoil it.
Well, we just assume.
Shout out Shannon Underwood.
Thank you, Shannon. He'll be back. You guys are the stars of the show. Let's be real. All right. And then don't forget to like, subscribe. If you have any questions, reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks, folks.
Bye.
To our listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Mind Your Wedding Business podcast, brought to you by Wedding IQ. I hope you've enjoyed listening to this episode. Please get in touch with me if you have a topic you would like for me to cover, or if you are in the area of your business you're struggling with, let us know. We'll be happy to help. I encourage you to check out our other episodes on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're a fan, we'd love to hear from you, and we'd love for you to subscribe to our podcast and leave a review. It helps others find our podcast so they can learn from our guests too. Thanks again for listening.